Hello there everyone, this is Mark3 and welcome to a very hard time I have been threatening you guys with for a little bit now. Yes, fear me, for I am truly the evil. Wahaha. No. In Surviving the Abyss, I mentioned that I was considering other cloning based things, and this is one of them. So, welcome to one of my old favourites, Endless Space 2. One that I think I've tried to do a bit with on the channel over the years, but it's like one that's never really had much purchase, shall we say, and one I've never actually been able to rope, bribe, or coerce my friends into getting. So I've only ever really played this one by myself, with one or two exceptions. But yes, Endless Space 2. I'm not lonely. No, shut up. Yes, no. This is why we're going to the cloning program, darn it. Anyway, Endless Space 2. This is a 4X game, which is, of course, explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. Another genre of games that's not really appeared on my channel very much for quite a while now, actually. I used to have some running on this, but yeah. Anyway, let's just move on. I'm not entirely sure who these guys are in the background here, but that's because the background screen for the main menu is just flat out a random race's ships. I'm not entirely sure who these guys are. I mean, I could look it up, I suppose, in the game, but yeah. New game. We are playing as Horatio. Yes. Because this guy is quite literally the cloning guy. No, that's the he show, no. No, down there. Incredibly wealthy and only slightly less deranged, Horatio was a trillionaire who left to discover his own star cluster. Finding a planet sprinkled with labs of ancient cloning technology left by the Endless, the boredom soon drove Horatio to create a race of allies, servants and slaves who were every bit as gorgeous as the most beautiful person in the universe, Horatio. Once the planet was repopulated, Horatio I had only to look up, regard the stars, and realise how much more beautiful they, too, would be if they were filled with Horatios. The rest, as they say, is history. Now, this is a regular style empire. It follows most of the game's base mechanics, so nothing's too special there. I've disabled custom empires, and I'm playing 4 AIs on random. Fast game speed, serious game difficulty, hard mode for pirates on a fairly big galaxy with a lot more constellations in, but it's also a flat galaxy just in a disc shape, so very standard there. Being a 4X, of course, races have different traits. In my case, I have the Gene Hunter, the special ability here, which is why when I've mentioned Horatio recently, a couple of times I've mentioned that it basically treats the entire galaxy like a eugenics program. That's because what Horatio does, and honestly, he's not telling me that.
Make
so
Horatio great again.
Make Horatio great again. Fun fact, by the way, Horatio predates the first term of the Great Orange Commander-in-Chief by a good bit. So it's always personally amused me because whenever I've seen a similar phrase being uttered, it makes me think of that one. So yeah, anyway. Horatio, we start off with Horatio Prime, a standard Terran-style world. We are actually a dictatorship, surprise, surprise, which has some modifiers on rebellions and sense skill effects and stuff like that. And we also fanatical ecologists. So yeah, we're all about the environment and stuff like that, believe it or not. So we can. The thing is, the actual overall traits of our empire are affected by the stuff we build over time. So that's how our population attraction and politics actually tends to be shaped. But in this case, it likes morale and food structures, likes recruiting ecologist heroes, and there's also diverse population stuff like that. Gives us some bonuses as well. Each one gives us some bonuses. But in our case, Gene Hunter, this is the pop-up I was trying to find earlier, can splice the genetic material of other factions to enhance its population. Splicing requires the sacrifice of some individuals. And how that works is it allows me to sacrifice populations of a non-Horatio race to get a bonus to the output ratings of Horatio. Now, each time I do this, it becomes more complex, and therefore I need to reach a higher amount of that population type in my empire to do the splice. But it means that I can actually, over time, especially if I'm really focusing on population growth and attracting and or absorbing and or conquering other races, I can mutate Horatio into truly the greatest Horatio that ever graced the galaxy with the beauty that is Horatio. Now, I want to find out who was actually those ships at the start. I'm thinking it's Humble Choir.
We watch from the shadows, but we are not to be feared.
Yes. I do believe those ships in the main menu are actually Humble Choir. Yep, definitely Humble Choir. Sorry, this is another race. This is another one. This is these guys were basically forms in the void until they got disturbed by the activity of sentient races. So that now they live inside the wire, they live inside the signal, they live inside you. They are a very stealthy faction that came out with the advent of hacking in the game. And that is their more specialized area. They are very good at hacking into other races and doing fun things like diverting funds from a system's budget to the the Carvers retirement fund, I think it was. Sorry, the Cravers. The Cravers, by the way, are these guys. These guys are actually basically clones as well, but they are just like warrior clones that have been long since abandoned by their masters. So they're very much designed and produced for war, and that's all they know. War, war, and more war. Unsurprisingly, they are militaristic. Anyway, Horatio. We are playing Horatio. I've never actually won the game as Horatio, despite playing the game many times. There's still a bunch of races I've not won, and this is one of them. So, Horatio, we'll go in. We'll not allow custom everything. Yep, all settings are good. We are good. We will start. I've always had a fond love of the Endless series games, especially their bigger titles. Because while they do things like this as a 4X, it actually has a lot of story quests and things woven into it as it goes along, which are individual to the faction. They are random things you can find around the place. Sometimes they're competitive against the other empires competing for something. And sometimes they're just like single things that just crop up because of an event transpiring. Stuff like that. Here we go.
They only ever saw what was in the mirror. I always saw what was beyond. They saw deformity. I found beauty. They saw madness. I found genius. For the longest time, I have been the only one who sees what lies beyond the mirror. But soon, very soon, they will see it as well.
Back from the very brink, no man has traveled further, struggled more, and unraveled more of the mysteries of the universe than Horatio. At least, according to Horatio. Now, with a great nation cast in his image, Horatio is ready to extend his vision to beautify the rest of the galaxy. Look in the mirror, Horatio, and you will always find the answers you seek.
Really? When I look in the mirror, all I see is depression. But yeah, that's the intro. Every race has its own intro and greeting as well, like explaining what's going on, why they're doing what they're doing, and a bit about who they are. And as you can see, this is about the one truly most beautiful being in the galaxy, The one who can look beyond the mirror and see what lies within. The one, the only, Horatio. For we will all become Horatio, or else. So this again is giving a breakdown and starting things like we got a couple of extra effects, like we've got contented, which is less unhappiness. Planets can actually take one extra population. We've got perfect genes, so heroes recover in half the time. Price of perfection. Ships cost 20% more industry to produce, but all of their weapon systems are 10% stronger. We start off with the rare earth firm's tech, which gives us access to a debris analyzer and Mediterranean colonization. And we have off-world agribusiness tech, which gives me some infinite supermarkets and the ability to do a xenosynergy treaty, which enables enables minor civilization and pirate league diplomacy. We'll start off with 1 Zavali citizen. Curious and technically savvy, the Zavali are a self-reliant species who trust in the power of science. +3 science and +2 happiness for each population's native production. And we start with the only one, I think, in the galaxy, unless we're lucky enough to find one as a native spawn. So remember what I said, if we were to splice the Zavali into our main genome, and we only had enough to do the splice, we would actually wipe them out. And which is good because, honestly, Horatio are actually kind of xenophobic. So, it's like they will take what the aliens have and make it their own, but they actually get a bit unhappy if there are too many aliens around them. So that will crop up a little bit later on. Let's get started, shall we? We have things to be doing. So, I'll start off with my Senate screen because we have access to a law slot straight away. The more regularly a given party is actually in power, the more entrenched it gets, so it unlocks more powerful abilities. And there's also stuff going on behind the scenes, so as we can unlock more party slots to access more varied rules as we go. But for now, we start off with the basics, and these are free in terms of influence cost. Influence is one of our core resources. But what I'd like to go is, I can take +3 per population for a -20 flat happiness penalty, +3 science per pop for -2 happiness per pop, and +20 happiness but -10% industry. Now let's go for this one to get an early science boost, so let's activate that one as we go. Okay, other things we need to do, I need to actually I like to send my hero out with the initial scout ship, so that the hero can get some experience at early levels that way, and then call them back to run my colony. Though that might not be the best one, I think I'll do it anyway, just so you can see the ship design a little bit faster. So assign my hero to it. There is a delay on when it can be assigned them to other tasks, but I can now go into customize their ship, and this is the ship design layout. Now heroes get a ship hull based on what their actual class overall is, but we've also got weapon modules, defense modules, supporting modules, and there's also squadron modules because you can unlock fighters later. There's also some random miscellaneous stuff that can crop up as well that only appear under all modules. In this case though, what I want to do is gear up for scouting. So I want the ship to be able to keep up with the scout ship, so I have to put in an additional basic drive because the hero ships are naturally kind of slow, and then add an extra probe launcher, and just for extra defense I will include a base weapons system. Combat in this game is showy. You don't actually have to view the visuals because you don't control it in the middle, you just assign tactics before and design your ships before, and then the result is calculated. But basically conducts in 3 phases: short, long range, medium range, short range, and these weapons have different accuracies and effects depending on where they are used. Like missiles are best at long range, this is true, but ships with kinetic guns, they double as point defense against incoming missiles and fighters to help reduce the effect, so that's good. But that is only effective really at short range. At great distances they just don't do much. Energy weapons tend to be more universal, but they're blocked by shielding. Speaking of, I will swap out that armor plating for some shielding, so this has got some basic shields on it. And I'll go for the basic every weapon, which is 90% effective at all range, but it's got the worst DPS of all the available options. Click. I've got a basic pew pew laser. Not a pulse laser, but that's actually a beam laser. But it's effective at all ranges, so it's a universal thing. Problem is it has to go through shields before it gets into the hull. Physical weapons don't have to do that. So, moving on. I mentioned class. I will briefly touch on here. So, hero skills is this tree here. The top one is universal. All heroes get that one. The bottom right is determined by the hero's race, which has stuff specific to a particular race. In my case, Horatio tends to be more focused on happiness and a bit of influence, a bit of luxury production. So it's a bit of a grab bag of the more peaceful stuff. Mostly happiness and food related stuff in overall. And then the overall class, which is one that determines the ship type. This is the overseer type, which is more focused actually around being a labor specialist. So this is the quick overview here. Masteries. Hero has wit, which is for trade, diplomacy, and empire resources. So especially Senate leaders is best to have wit. Labor, good at increasing the resource outputs and productions of systems specifically, if assigned to manage a system. Excuse me. Command. Hero is focused on commanding fleets and improving their chances of winning battles. Despite being assigned to a fleet, he's actually worse suited for that. And then the bottom one is Wanderlust. Skills the hero has, which can apply to exploration and your ships moving throughout the galaxy. So there's a bit going on here. Though that said, it has this breakdown, but it doesn't tell you where in the tree a lot of this stuff is. And you've got to spend so many points in the skill tree to unlock the next tier. It doesn't have to be specifically in the next tier to unlock the one after it, but anywhere will do. But you have to reach a certain level before you get access to the next tier stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on in there. I'll back out again because that is all ready to go. I don't want to customize the scout ship which starts next to it, so instead, let's move on to the next thing. So, this is my system management. Production is food, industry, dust, which is cash, science production, and influence, or the FIDSI is what it's called. This is a universal system across nearly all Endless series games. In my case, I like to go for the drone networks, which is dual production of food and production, and then cerebral reality networks, which is science and dust. So it gives this system a flat intake of stuff. Just basic improvements starting out. They don't cost any maintenance. Very good to get. But I didn't actually do anything about anomalies because I want to do that with my scout team, because then my hero gets experience for it. So ships with probes, I can fire them off into the void to scout the map, or I can use them to investigate anomalies on a system that the fleet is orbiting. So do that. And as you can see, multiple anomalies around the place for me to actually check into and have a look at. And we've got 4 probes in stock because that new launcher I built on the hero ship doesn't come stocked with probes. They regenerate over a set number of turns. So let's go ahead and fire those off. Let's see what we got. Okay, reserves and load. So this is one of the reasons to be exploration focused. I tend to be exploration focused in this game. Reserves and load. Basically, if I am the first to scan a deposit or an anomaly, then I can discover the reserves thing, which is like a feature of the planet or stuff like that. The load in this case can also be other things, like it can be a rare piece of tech, or it can be an abandoned population unit, which will then fly off to join one of my planetary systems, stuff like that. That only appears to the first person to scan it if it is tied to something else. So loads will get naturally used up as people explore the galaxy. Reserves will generally be around to find if they've not been mapped, but that's about it. But I found a deposit of titanium. I can't mine it yet, but I got some extra titanium in my strategic resource stockpile because of that. So this one, there's an anomaly here. What did Seth say about this? Because I am ecological, I get a special thing. I'll actually show you in a sec, but yeah, irradiated, detrimental anomaly, big minuses bottom left there. Well, -1 to science food and -4 to happiness, but I get some extra influence for finding it. This one has a good anomaly, +2 happiness per pop and +2 food flat. Happiness is the main thing there, but I also unlocked a battle tactic called collateral damage. Sure. And then ruins, +3 dust and +3 happiness per pop. I also got my first rare module, Hyperion Intensifier. It's you can unlock basic versions of these through the tech tree, but then there are also more advanced versions which actually use strategic resources to make a more powerful version which has better stats and or extra effects to create it. But this one is NG weaponry on the ship has a higher critical chance and does extra 25% damage flat, so it makes NG weapon flat out more powerful. Some races have a balance towards they lean towards certain weapon types because they've got hero skills that go that way, but I'm not sure what Horatio's is, to be honest. Anyway, lastly there is a lock mark down here. That's because I don't have access to all anomalies starting out. I have to progress through the science tree to get this stuff unlocked with better level of exploration, but I just don't have it yet. So it's telling me that something from the next tier of exploration is there, but I can't do anything about it. So my probes are gone. Find those off, use all my movement points. So I'm just going to queue up leaving. And the other ship that's here is a beautifier, which is my colony ship. I'm just going to send that out through the lane anyway. Off you go. Because right now pirates haven't spawned yet, so it's not going to bump its nose on anything too painful. Now, I mentioned ecologists. So, yeah, ecologists. They're active laws. The primary leader of your Senate has a always active effect on. And I think as Zektinch put it is, we don't know how to settle on this planet, but we're going to do it anyway. So yeah. Basically, it's +15 happiness flat per system in the system itself, and I can colonize any telluric, i.e. non-gas planet. However, without the correct technology, all of the resource production is penalized by 25% until the correct technology is researched. But this means I can colonize really quickly if I'm so inclined to, and if I find the systems to do so. Right, I've gained access to Super Spuds, which is a luxury resource. Thank you. That is telling me that the discovery has been... Someone has started next to the Academy, apparently. The Academy is where all heroes come from. Blue Cap Mold, another luxury, and... telling me about my first hero. Okay. One last thing to do before I get started. Welcome to the tech screen. So, tech screen. Military, economy and trade, science exploration, and empire development. Thing is, we need to be kind of going around these. Every tech I get is an opportunity cost of not getting something else, and every tech I get actually makes any following tech more expensive. So you might think, oh, just push all the way up into one or the other. The problem is, economy and trade will give me access to all of the industry and the markets and stuff like that, and the rare materials, but then I've got nothing to use those materials on from that side of the tree. So I could go to science exploration, which is where I want to go anyway. In fact, I want to check my starting system real quick, but going back, I go down here, I get all the science buildings and stuff, but then I wouldn't have the production to build that stuff. So, you know, I need some of that. But if I'm going down those two, I've got nothing to protect myself. So I need to spend some stuff in military. Because military is where all the military modules, more advanced versions, or even the most basic equipment parts of my ships kick in, going up this tree. So a lot of stuff up here. But all those big shiny guns and plates and things, I don't get the ships to mount them on. And that comes in from the Empire Development, because Empire Development covers things like government, making government more powerful and effective, food, influence, which affects my area of control, and how resistant I am to enemy areas of control, and stuff like that. And it also covers ship hulls. So here's the next tier of ship hulls right here. This is even the small type ones, and their upgrades are all through this tree. So you need to really balance and choose what you want to try and get first. Which is why I said I wanted to have a quick look at my system again. Let's see. I think you're not actually allowed to start with a start deposit on your home system unless it's specifically noted in your race startup. So I will colonize this world. It is a Terran temperate fertile. This is the Mediterranean hot that I start on. But this one, if we look here, very good food, okay in industry, dust, and science, but no native influence production. That's all fine. So, in fact, it'll be helpful going into this one, flat out for production of food. But it'll also give me access to a passive income of strategic resources just for colonizing it with my clones. I don't actually have to have any population units, which are these guys, assigned to it to produce that. Just having it habitated, like part of my empire, is enough. So, I'll do that, and I'll say because I want to have Hyperium, I will research the tech which will allow me to mine Hyperium. Then the next thing I want is actually machine bacteria. I could get a discount on it if I research xenobiology first, because that's a root linked tech to it, but right now I don't want that one because it's actually faster just flat out to go for machine bacteria while things are so cheap. It's not so important. Then I'll go for baryonic shielding because this will give me access to warp drive, which allows my ships to actually go off the grid as far as the travel lanes are concerned, but also unlocks the next tier of anomaly scanning. And in fact, I think I'll go ahead and slot that in there. 9 turns, 12 turns, 12 turns. So as you can see, it's not really changing much, but maybe it's not taking into account the fact that this will become cheaper because of that. Let's check the cost, shall we? 105, 79. That would actually be 30 science. 25 science, sorry. Yeah, nearly 30 science. That'd be nearly a turn less overall if I got xenobiology first, but 1 turn at this point is not really something that interests me overly much, so I'll just skip it, and then I'll let it grind to a halt there and yell at me to assign something else. So, yeah, there we go. I am sorry, I've not even had my first turn yet, it's been half an hour. I've just been going over the basics of the game system. Anyway. That's my influence wing, that's my vision range around it. Vision range will be moving as my ship goes. Because this system has got resources in it, it's shown at the top here. They are currently greyed out a little bit because I don't have them, but they light up if I'm actually accessing them. So we know at a glance what resources are there. We can also see there's 4 planets here, one of which is colonized, in this case by me. So, let's go ahead and end the turn. How the heck has Red started at 160 points? I'm probably against the He show, aren't I? Because they start with a dreadnought. Oh well. Okay. Move my ships along their pre-planned paths. Oh, a bit of bad luck, question mark. We have met the Calgeros. 4 armed monks. Pragmatist, obedient, and trait unknown because we don't know about them. Let's start negotiations. Hi. I will use a third of my influence to praise them, which will start ticking up their natural appreciation of me. Praise expires after X amount of turns, but by default that should give me a chunk of progress towards them being happy with me. The happier they are, the more resources they share with me, and I can just flat out say, hey, I want to help you out, and then join my empire, and they'll give me a little quest to try and do to persuade them to cede control to me. And then, of course, me being Horatio, I will take advantage and pretty quickly, honestly. But yeah. The thing is, that's something that's also being vied for, like authority over the minor powers is something that can be very helpful. My hero has leveled up. I'll leave that alone for now because I don't want to spend anything on fleet skills. Okay, so the only thing left is my ship is sitting there. I will end my turn. Oh, hacking. Okay, I nearly forgot. Sometimes I forget. Yeah, you can hack neutral as well, and it's actually in your interest to do so. So, hacking has to start in a system you own or a system with a backdoor. You can use hacking to create backdoors elsewhere in other people's systems, and then you can use that as the launch point for further hacks going outwards. But you can also hack to do things like affect their production, get information, nick their resources, you know, stuff like that. So it's a little thing that can be going on. But it gives you a time estimate. But the thing is, they can realize it's going on and backtrack the hack, and that can cause some diplomatic problems. You can influence things though by things like programs, which you also unlock through research. In this case, I can actually encrypt a system, and that will mean any enemy attempts to hack my system get a 50% penalty on their speed and how quickly they can do it. So, yeah. This, by the way, is actually rolled into the trade. Yeah. It's rolled into the overall trade view as well. So I'm not quite sure how that works out at the moment, but we'll see how it goes. Just end my turn, yes. Okay, got our first solo quest. It is from our primary quest line. The three of us stood around that table, a spectacle for all Horatio to consume. Gorgeous, brilliant, and indistinguishable. The guards and attendants had one question only. Who was the original? I claimed to be, of course, every bit as beautiful and as smart as either of the other two. That had to be the case, for we were the most perfect copies, biological, psychological, developmental, that the most advanced cloning science of the galaxy could make. No scientific test existed that could tell us apart. Each one of the three of us a macrocosm of Horatio perfection. Yet only one was the real Horatio. Horatio Prime. I wonder what parents had brought that Horatio up, had developed that magnificent brain into what it was, and I wondered how Horatio managed to imprint that upbringing as if it was a technical issue, like replicating DNA. Can a thing from a test tube have daddy issues? Ask the Primarchs on 40k, I'm pretty sure they can. We aligned ourselves with each other, 5 and I, determined to avoid the fate of 1, 2, and 3. Oh god, I forgot about this. Horatio actually has the entire Mark conspiracy theories going on. People quite regularly ask me what happened to Iron Mark 1 and Iron Mark 2. It's like, data not found. So, they had died in the lab once Horatio Prime realised what we were thinking. They had died in the lab once Horatio Prime realised what we were thinking. Subtly, we knew who was who, and he gave me his support when I claimed to be Horatio, the original Horatio Prime, the Light. And so I was crowned Emperor, the gorgeous leader of a gorgeous empire, and Prime was put in chains. But I know 5 as well as he knows me, or Horatio himself. The minute he is out of my sight, he will scheme against me, as I, of course, will scheme against him, and as Horatio will scheme against both of us. Clones. They are so predictable. Yeah. So this adds a lot of flavour to this game, I find. It's one of the things I like about it. But also, I get to choose my rewards and what I try to do, what I try to focus on. So we've got a food production one, which is increase Horatio's population to 12, and we get rewarded with a crafted nutrition plant. In the system that it's built, it can only be once per empire. Notice that. Plus 4 food production for every Horatio in the system, which is actually pretty big for food creation and very good for helping generals stuff. Luxury. Reach 50 total luxury stockpile. We currently have 0 because we have no kind of income from that. Would give us a similar structure, based around output of influence or power. Build 5 ships with at least 100 defensive power. And we get the Artisanal Excellence Museum. +4 production per original population. So yeah, that's kind of what we want to do. The thing is, this will also influence our empire and also influence how following quests start to unfold a bit. Like, I know each one of these will actually lead to a slightly different follow-up quest with a different objective and a slightly different reward. So, I think because we're going the cloning angle here, we will go for food. So to consolidate your power, you need to find 5, your brother clone. You know he is out there in the constellation somewhere, pretending to be you and fomenting rebellion, because that is what you would do. To defy him, you must fill the constellation with Horatio. Your Horatio. It begins. Okay, I started to mention it in the tech tree, by the way. The tech tree in general is shared, more or less, but there are actually some that are modified with race specific, and they have a little symbol on them. In this case, botanical scanning is replaced with something specific for my affinity as a ratio, which offers some slightly different buildings with different effects. So organic purity, +40 to troop generation, I believe that is, and +2 food per planet. Sorry, per population per planet. And intensive cultivation logistics, I think, is the base building, which is 10 food per luxury deposit and 10% flat food production in the entire system. So yeah, you can see this is like, specialization is often a very good way to go in this game as far as that stuff is concerned, but for the most part the tech tree is generalized, and there's no abilities that are going to be lacking overall. Anyway, my scout fleet has actually arrived. Something else we can do for these guys is, if we investigate anomalies in their systems, it actually does give a bonus to it. I'm sorry, I'm in the habit of skipping that, but it actually also gives you, when you first go into a system, it gives you a close-up view of each of the worlds. And the worlds actually do change their appearance, not just based on type. It also changes based on anomalies that are present as well. If I was wanting to harvest the maximum influence gain, I would scan one of these anomalies, wander off until the bonus dissipates, and then come back again. But that leaves these anomalies available for someone else to go and probe. I'm not near anyone right now. Oh hey, we found dark glitter, which is a science and minor industry benefit. Cool. But now if I go out and click on these guys, we have praise, which increases 4 turns. For the next 4 turns we get an increase in our gain by another +2. The problem is scanning more anomalies doesn't actually stack to that. It doesn't increase how much you get. It doesn't increase the length. It just resets how long it's going to last for. So that's why it's like, if you're going to go ahead and risk leaving an anomaly alone, might as well just go ahead and do that. Anyway, I want to actually use the other thing. I want to see if there's actually a system nearby, because I need to know where my neighbouring colonizable planets are, to be entirely honest. Okay, we've got a nebula right there. That is less than ideal, but it also shows me a lane going that way. I don't have any more probes right this moment. I will tell my scout to go that way, and I will actually send my beautifier up this way. I also think I'll actually go and update my beautifier, because the colonized ships by default, they start with a speed module and a colonization module, and that's it. Let's go ahead. Also worth noting, by the way, the exact slot layout actually changes depending on which empire you are, so certain empires have different things. For example, the Human Imperium Empire, their scout ships are actually more warlike. They actually have an extra slot on them, which allows them to be used in a more combative approach. So it makes them more powerful or better at scouting, flat out. And some are naturally a little bit faster, stuff like that. So, you know, there is some variation depending on which race you are. Production report, you're all good. New deposit. New resource. If I was able to start having a look through this. 10, 10, 10, 10, that's all good. Hang on a second, please. I've got a phone call. Oh, never mind, they hung up. Okay. I think those are my insurance guys. I'll call them back in a little bit. Right. That blew my train of thought right there. Oh yeah, I was just talking about how different races have slightly different things. And then I was just going to end my turn because right now there's nothing else to do really, unless... Yeah, this is my eugenics screen. If I was to absorb the Zavali, all of my Horatio pots will get +2 happiness and +1 science. Though of course any spliced Zavali would be lost. And so as you can see, the spliced version of the effect is slightly less than the native thing. So that's why good population growth to get more Horatio is beneficial in terms of the splicing program that we're going to be doing. So end the turn. Research plasma metallurgy. This is... Yep, this is the one that allows us to actually exploit the Hyperium. Also gives us a new industry production, which is +3 per population on planets with a strategic resource. Without that, it's +1. And that is one of our early industrial boosters. Especially good if there's strategic resources around for your population to be working on directly. And okay, I have some choices to make here, it seems. So, I've got 3 worlds here. Problem is they've all got anomalies on them. This time I'll show you this. Unknown subterranean curiosity on it. Tiny snow. Ruins, atmospheric and life form. A large barren. Unknown life forms. Notice by different classes of planet have different strengths and weaknesses. You can see from the breakdown of these. Though we don't know what the anomalies are, and that's the problem. And honestly, from the look at Quorum 1, I couldn't tell what its benefit was. Like, no obvious orbital effects. It did say subterranean, which means it might be a resource deposit of some kind. We've also got access to Dorado, or say Vision on Dorado. Gas giants tend to be super specialists. They tend to have low population, but the population do a massive output. A production and a dust focus one, and then a large ice world. Notice ice worlds tend to have a little bit of dust, but they are very much focused into science. You can terraform telluric planets, by the way, by which of course I mean non-gas based planets. I could colonize Quorum. I think Dorado. I will deploy my colonizer to Dorado. And I will queue up a beautifier. Yeah. So start to get colonization. There is actually a milestone quest involved here. Which is not a full quest, which is why I've not mentioned it so far, but every tier you progress in the science tree, they unlock little challenges and things. Like, in this case, the industrial base one is be the first to possess 20 star system improvements in your empire. And gives you a reward, in this case it gives us 75 super spuds, so a luxury resource. By the way, luxury resources are semi-random. There is a selection, but not all of them are available in every game. There's nothing in the military tree at the moment. There is one over here, which is build a galactic wonder, which is something only one empire can build flat out. But if your population is happy, it can boost dust and science production quite substantially. Problem is it needs a bunch of production and things. So I think Civilization's World Wonders, effectively. There's only a few of them, but yes. And then Science Tree, be the first to have 8 planets colonized within your empire. Then there's also individual things like have so many planets within a cluster. Be the first to do that, you get a reward. You also get a reward for having the overall domination of a given constellation, which is a cluster systems connected by just the normal travel lanes. And that depends on which constellation you're in, so I don't know what the bonus is for our area. You are still doing your thing, that's all good. Okay. things can settle. So, I can improve my image, improve relations with the faction over the next 3 turns. I can create a backdoor which I can use as a launching point or to reduce the cost of my hacking actions in the general area. I can uncover secrets about them. Minus 50% praise and bribe cost for the next 3 turns, and minus 50% assist action cost. I can just hack their economy. Increase the money civilization's yield by 75% for normal resources, 50% for strategics and luxuries. The minor civilization will grant relation rewards even when at war or in a neutral relationship. By massaging bank data, manipulating exchange rates and tweaking invoices, the economies of minor civilizations can be accelerated until someone figures it out. So make them more productive and they give us some of it, basically. I will... what do I want to do with this? I think I'll just improve my image, honestly. Might as well. No reason not to. Okay, they like me more. I will need to... Actually, I don't think I can rehack them because I've just done something hacking-wise. It will shout at me, though, if I try to end turn without doing it. But this system... Actually, this system isn't a good one to try and land on immediately, apart from the fact I want to make sure it's mine. The life form gave us access to sim camps. Okay. I did a brief test game before recording this, and I was a bit confused about where I picked sim camps up because it's not in the military territory. This is why. You actually find it from an expedition. Basically, this takes the garrison's training exercises on your system, and it actually generates a little bit of production from it based on the size of your military. So, yeah. Also, here we go. Cooperative quest started. Your sole hero graduated the Academy was requesting an audience. Something has awakened, they confide. The Academy is registered and missions do not recognize. The source of this is certainly an endless manufacturing transponder. They do not wish to explain further, claiming that Academy oaths bind them from saying more on the subject of how the signal was identified. They show their loyalty, however, in helping you discover the most efficient way to uncover the truth. Whatever the artifact is, it must be powerful and certainly had military applications. Further investigation and military technologies should provide a clue. Endless technology is safest when it is in your hands, not someone else's. So, this is a competitive reward quest. Uncover 17 technologies from the military tree overall among all empires, and then the one that does the most gets rewards. But the thing is, this reveals the the dreadnoughts or behemoths? I called them dreadnoughts earlier. Dreadnought technologies are revealed for this. All empires get that, but if we try hard and get in second or first, we get 30 or 60 deciduous trees, which is a dust-focused luxury resource. Honestly, I'm not going to go out of my way for that one, because we get access to the tech no matter what. It doesn't automatically unlock the techs, you still have to research them. It just means they're available for people to get their hands on. Anyway, let's go ahead and launch a probe down that way. And let's fire another one off that way, and then tell you to move over to the system. I like the system better, so I'm going to actually tell my colony ship to turn around and come back. In all honesty, the following colony ship will try to pick up Dorado, unless I see something better, because I've not sent anything out that way really. Ah, there it is. Hacking operation not assigned. Okay, let's go ahead and hack these guys again. Thank you. Ionic shielding is now available. Gives us a offensive program called Piggyback. Gives us better strength for curiosity. Gives us warp drive so for off-lane transit. And gives us the colonization tech for savannas. That's what that one does. Okay. All well to the good so far. And let's go ahead and investigate this particular system. We have got 2 probes, so we can't check everything for a couple of turns. Quorum is my immediate focus. Probably a Hyperion deposit or something. Oh hey, yeah, Hyperion. Get some free Hyperion. Thank you. Also check out the ice. The analytical engine. Unique improvement. +1 dust per accuracy discovered on the system. Okay. And then we're out of probes. So we have to either send the ship off or we have to wait to scan the rest, but I might as well just send the ship out to continue its scouting run for the moment. So, end the turn. And we've got passive production of Hyperion, which is good because I want Hyperion very much. Oh, they like us. They like us. Yep. Okay, we didn't find anything particularly useful out there, so I will tell you to immediately reverse course and come back. My ships are going back and forth all over this one. Hero leveled up, don't care. Neutron star. If in my influence, +1 to science and +1 to influence. Also, these special nodes, by the way, affect battles that take place around them as well. The neutron star. In this case, extra experience gained, but shields are disabled. In the meantime, though, I'm going to colonize the tiny jungle planet of Quorum 1 because it's 6 food, 6 production, 3 dust, 1 science. So food and production are very good for starting out a system. Now, worth noting, by the way, I don't just click and say this is suddenly mine. What happens is I found an outpost, then that is sent food supplies to develop, and then it will go ahead and turn into a proper colony once it's established enough growth to get the initial population going. So that's when these benefits will start to kick in. But every time you do a new colony for the first time of a type, it gives you this thing like that. There's our ship just coming into the atmosphere up here. But this is one of the other things I like about this game. It's got very good presentation for what it does. So that's a much better deposit of Hyperion than we've got in our home system. I could pay some dust to speed up population growth, but only 1 modifier is needed. There's also like green glass, which is like if you've got outposts from rival empires, absorb food from the opponent's outposts. I've not got much dust right now, and I'm going to need that very shortly for refitting, so I'm not going to do anything with that. So that'll colonize in 14 turns. Leave that on B for the time being. Now, problem is, while that's being supported, food in my home system is actually being used for that. So my home system is going to suffer a -32 because of food being sent to outposts, and that is something that can't really be dealt with. It's a necessary thing. The only thing to shorten that would be to actually invest the dust there to boost its speed. I'm not going to do that. So, moving on. Hack done. Let's go ahead and create the back door in the area. Thank you. We found a new system. Musis. A large ash world. Hot worlds like that are production focused. Ooh, a production gas giant. Okay. And a toxic, which is on the dust side of things. Only 3 worlds. But they are big worlds. They are worlds I think I might actually want to get my grubby little hands on. It's not a stellar system, it's not a massive game changer system, but it is a solid system. And I think it's actually the most solid system mid-game or so out of the 3 I've discovered so far. So yeah, I'm interested in that. We have got 4 probes. Ruined. Improved manpower. So this is a module that helps like ground assaults. Allows you to carry more troops on your ship, and makes the ground forces more powerful on the attack. It also gives a health bonus. And some ancient ruins. which is a flat-out dust income, and we've got a dust reserve just from that. And the last one is life form is red sang, dust focused, and a minor in food. Oh, we also got an event, Ghost in the Machine. There are ruins in the system, old enough and sophisticated enough that they must have come from the Endless. There are machines within machines, some of which are still running, and others that are so alien you are not sure how to tell if they are running or not. It will take time to investigate properly. That is, if you don't just take the dust and run. Okay, so I can investigate, -5 science, empire-wide. So it's just a flat science penalty for 10 turns. Increases the ideology of science and 80% chance of discovering a new tech. In 20 turns, that'll be 80 science spent. Now, I can actually load the dice slightly on this by making sure to research cheaper technologies out of my tech reserves first. So when this one picks a science for me, it'll give me something better. Or I can just loot it, flat out get plus 75% dust on the Empire. So get that. Military, that's a military kind of action. And there is a 50% chance of creating a major political crisis in 20 turns. Horatio is more scientifically focused, I think, rather than like grab the loot, so investigate. I do like to go science focused, to be honest, in this game. It tends to be my area of specialty. Anyway, we don't know what's out this way, so I will launch a curious probe over there. And I'm pondering recalling my hero. He's level 3 right now. And this system is about to start doing fun things. As in producing a lot of stuff. Heroes tend to get experience flat out for governing, but also they tend to get a bonus for completed productions and stuff as well. And this place is about to be kicking in its production into a higher gear. So I will call Forella Emo Mario 22. Oh, it's Mario. Hello, Mario. No Luigi, though. Send you there, and I'll actually finally spend his skill points, because I was going to put him in here anyway. Now, I could go flat out for food. This is plus 10 on the system, and plus 10 per fertile on the system. So this would yield 20. Or plus 1 production and plus 1 food per planet from the general skill tree. There is also a plus 5% food and plus 5 happiness. 20 flat. I've only got 4 population here, so it would give me some production and some food, but it wouldn't be as good as the plus 10s. Or plus 5%, 80. That would be like a plus 4 at the moment. This system's not very much up there yet. So I think the best benefit flat out is going to be, for me, the farming logistics. So yeah, let's do that. And food has jumped up to 33. Though that said, there is another temperate in here, which would give me another plus 20. If I was to colonize that as well. But for now, I think let's go ahead and get this one, which is plus worth plus 6 right now in terms of industry. And then let's actually study that. So I don't have to do probes. If I've actually colonized the system, I can just actually tell the system to analyze it. They spend the industry to go and check things out. And they can do things that way instead. Though actually I do want to beautify out sooner rather than later, so I'll put that first. And then the sim camp, plus 0.1, so that's actually worth a plus 20 to production, the sim camp. Which right now is actually pretty big, so yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that. Beautifiers, good. Beautifier, you are going to head to... You are going to, I think... My priority is actually going to be Moses. It's a shame there's no native food production in either of those two worlds, and I also don't know what's out that way either. But that's how it's going to be. I'm also going to recall my scout ship. It needs to pay a visit home. In fact, maybe then I actually want to go ahead and get Dorado. Because it's a local area thing. The last thing I want is pirates to be spawning in Dorado. But Musis is more valuable to me. Go to Musis, please. Thank you. I also fully admit at this point that this game also suffers from one more turn syndrome. Very much so. Because we've just hit the hour mark, but I am going to click. One more turn. I hit the button. Yay! Which actually completed machine bacteria. Okay. Because of how long I took, actually, my ship's decided it's flat out faster not to use the lanes. It's just going to go between systems normally. Yeah, they do actually do that. It decided this is the fastest route between known systems. I'll just take this little shortcut across the void here. It's all fine. It's all good. So survey. That is the ecologist currently winning. That means there's an election going to happen pretty soon, or rather a Senate election. And Zavali have increased. Can I splice? I can splice. The problem is, if I splice, I lose 2 population. And right now, that's 2 out of my 5, so that is a massive hit to my overall output. It's not really worth splicing at the moment. Let's see. I want to pick up that one, so I start passively generating titanium. I want that one because I want food. I don't use titanium as much in the early game because I really like the Hyperion modules, which is why I'm hanging on a little bit to show you a little bit further into the game. And then to block out the choices, I will go for these guys because these guys are currently at 156. Remember that that over 20 turns thing is like 80. So that is what is going to be discounted. Even this one still gets a discount of like 30 points of science, which is like half a turn's worth now. Well, this is going to pass 160 very quickly, as I should actually not be researching everything like that, but yeah. Yeah. For the most part, it's actually all useful. I'll actually turn that one off. I'll turn that one off. I won't go into the militarist. No, I'll take you. I want that one. I want that one. And I do want this one as well, actually. So let's go ahead and pick you up right after the science. Sure. And yeah, let's do it that way. Sure. So, Hyperion. Why do I like to go rushing for Hyperion as fast as possible? Because we've got machine bacteria, which has... Actually, no, I can... Yeah, I can skip assigning that one to be sorted out because probe ships are going to be passing through here very shortly. So, I've not modified my scout yet because besides monkeying with the design a little bit, there's not much else to do. But the thing is, unlocking that machine bacteria tech a little bit back also upgraded my scouts a little bit, so they gave them an extra slot, which can be used for stuff. Another thing about Horatio scouts is their weapon slot can actually be repurposed as a support module slot as well. So you can actually sacrifice your guns for a better scouting capability. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's put in the speed module there. And then I will install 3 Hyperion based probe launchers. And then I can take that 4th slot. It depends on what I want, really. I mean, why have I stacked these? And what's the difference? Normal probe launcher adds 1 to my ship's vision range, has 2 stocks of probe, and generates a new probe every 4 turns. The version built using titanium gives 2 vision, still holds 2 probes, but it generates a probe every turn, so it's a really fast restocking one. But the Hyperion one gives 3 vision range, holds 3 probes, but it takes twice as long compared to the titanium one to recharge a probe, like 2 turns. Don't want these things to be glass cannons, just like scout. hard, scout hard, just like look for things. Because the thing is, the vision range bonus adds together, and so it massively increased the sight range of just like the ship flying around naturally. But yeah, if I take all guns and armor off this ship, just dedicated to scouting with some speed, this has so many probes in stock it can scan any system it gets to fully, and just like spam waves of probes to scout around. It's got okay speed, like 7 speed, so it's not going to take too long to get anywhere. And because it may be taking 2 turns to replenish probes, but it replenishes 4 probes every 2 turns. That's 2 probes every turn overall. And with that travel speed, it takes time to get to places enough that it will rapidly restock itself on probes anyway. This is a scout machine, but the problem is it's got no defenses, no nothing. So if it gets into a bit of a situation, it's going to have problems. Or I could just make it a bit faster, honestly. But not right now. I think let's go for science. This will leave us short on military power, but let's go for science. But because I edited that out of a previous ship, I can upgrade my existing scout, which is why I called it back. Or I can manufacture a new one for the science and Hyperium cost, but each of these will cost 4 Hyperium. And that's why I was trying to make sure that I would get that going. Oh, there's our food tech. Launch a fleet with that beautifier. Go to there, please. It'll be there in 3 turns. Jolly good. Oh, the pirates have taken over Dorado. Fine, you go to that one. You divert this way. That's a problem, actually. Oh, we've actually got some... The probe managed to discover that Kyonis is over here. Let's see. Large gas giant with industry. Haha. Small tundra. Unknown life forms. Has a titanium deposit though. And a medium ice with high gravity. Okay, sure. Well, I'll send the colony ship that way anyway. Maybe I should just actually refit for speed, because I found that 3 Hyperion probes on a ship actually gives a lot of flexibility in terms of like vision range. It'll passively reveal any off-grid nodes within a constellation just by flying past them effectively, and the speed will just make it able to better move around anyway. So the question is if its probe stocks will restock fast enough to keep up with the exploration rates. Probably not, but you know, let's soup up the engines and say go for it. Sure. I just have to let that one come back. Hacking operation, because there's new targets. There is. We can hack the pirates. I could start from Lupus and go to Dorado. Like that. Or I could have started from Ethereal and go through Lupus to Dorado. Thing is, if Lupus gets back hacked by Dorado, then Lupus will discover the back door and probably close it. There's a chance of that happening. It's not guaranteed. And I don't have any useful programs to activate to try and help this out. In this case, there's a program which could accelerate how quickly I can hack things and make things safer in general for me to do, but I don't have access to that just yet. Ah, here we go. Election. Right. Our first election, another reason to let this video run slightly long. I could actually officially support someone to try and get someone into power to make them more entrenched, or just let the people do their thing. Thing is, we've only got Ecologist Party right now, and they've got 100% of the votes, so the home system votes for the Ecologists. What a shocker. But because of that, my Ecologist's capabilities have leveled up. Okay. Solar Quest. Unexpected Entropy. An emissary from the Academy arrives dressed formally. They only agree to speak or communicate in public venues while being recorded. This is no ordinary discussion. It appears that the head of the Academy is indisposed and various organizations within the Academy are beginning to operate with a certain degree of independence. You are provided with a few names, a list, a small explanation. Wait. I was going to say, they aren't trying to be in public. Yeah, in private. Yeah, they are deliberately demanding public. Independence. Right, an explanation. Really a marketing brochure on the Academy's structure and organization. Once discussions are over, you place an encrypted call to the hero in your employ, who is visibly uncomfortable. You understand this, eh? We are beings of exceptional power. We are trained to seek only strength and knowledge, but some seek more. You finish. Yes, and there are associations, fraternities within the Academy. Theoretically just clubs for heroes with shared interests. Those who seek power often use them for leverage. However, in research, training, exploration, none of this is shocking, though it makes you uneasy. But as long as they lack access to resources, you say, they are not a threat, at least not to friendly empires. Your employee nods, as if agreeing, and prepares to end the discussion. Then, at the last second, changes their mind. They add, remember that there are unclaimed places of enormous wealth out there, and everyone is starting to look at them. The transmission is terminated, leaving you curious and concerned. So, 3 choices here, but one of them is blocked, which is search for the unclaimed places. It says it needs a unique constellation, which means that my galaxy has probably spawned without said constellation, or if it has spawned, it's already controlled by someone. Which means someone started in it because they wouldn't have controlled it this early. Information, which is use probes to get new curiosities, or search, discover 4 systems outside your constellation. Again, this kind of knock-on effects because it's chapter 1, so there's more to follow in this particular quest line. If I go for information, I get a probe micro factory module, which cuts probe cooldown in half. But with how I set up my ships, it doesn't really matter that much. But this would let me actually get away with fewer modules on my ships in terms of like probe replenishment. But losing probe modules would lose the ability to burst a large number of probes at once because you couldn't hold as many by taking those modules away. So it's not necessarily a net gain unless you're relying on a steady stream of probes rather than having a lot in reserve. So, searching, discover 4 systems outside your constellation, which gives me an interesting piece of kit. It's a modified speed module, same speed movement, 3 points, but distance traveled per movement point plus 25%. And remember, it's not just the points in the module, it's also the points that the ship has inherently as well. So basically, flat out, the ship goes 25% further. And this is like a net gain in terms of distance traveled as a special effect. So I'm going to go for that one, which is fine things. We're about to send out very powerful explorers. So that's a thing to look for. Oh, new event. Hear my last cry. I'm sorry, I am actually reading through the stories in this. It's like, I just do like this as well. What looked like a huge asteroid approaching one of your system stars turned out to be a fragment of an ancient planet that burst ages ago. What makes it different are the remains of strange alien structures on it. What will you do before the planetary fragment flames into the sun? I can plunder it for forgotten science. I can... Oh, let's actually pop up here. Right, send a team of scientists to get as much information as they can from the structures, plus 1 random tech. While it is safe, make tours to visit and learn more about who lived there. And in the meantime, make some dust off it, which is plus 10% to dust and influence production on the Empire. Or respect the dead. What happened on the planet was not a natural occurrence. Some things are better left undisturbed. It's better to learn what we can of it from a safe distance, which is plus 10% to science production, and happiness. Happiness, I don't care about. My Empire is naturally happy. Science, tempting. My Empire does do a bunch of science. Or I can just get a random science. Now, 10%, we were producing about 60 science per turn last I checked it.
The Academy
Just tab out of that for a moment. The Academy needs to evolve further requests. Okay, so the Academy sometimes contacts us, starts a donation drive.
Yes?
This, by the way, the Academy was a bit broken, but there has actually been a patch in more recently than that, which has fixed them. But it used to be like these guys would just make demands, and then because you couldn't pay it because they were demanding way too much, they'd get angry, and they constant war as well. They'd be super hyper aggressive because someone released an expansion which was kind of bugged and broken, and it broke the Academy really badly. This is actually not too bad. So this guy at time they're asking for dust, and I can choose which of these roles I want to be in, and then whoever donates more gets first pick, basically. What these are, and then these give a temporary special effect, and that's kind of how this works. I think I will go ahead and back out right now because you don't have to donate right now. The drive actually goes on for a little bit, so you can see how things are progressing over time with that, and it will warn you again in your tickers pop-up when you get close enough. Anyway, let's look at technologies though. I am producing 61 per turn. Yes, okay. 61 per turn, 10%, that's 6 per turn, that's 60 science, which is worth 1 basic tech, basically. So I might as well just take the random science. Better value overall, and I don't need the happiness. And that gave me a random tech. Problem is, it's not told me what it gave me. So yeah, done with you, go away. All ships move on. Just let those ships keep moving. You are up here. There's a lava, ash, tell me more. Arid, not the worst. Ocean, launch point. Colonizer. I'm sorry, Mrs. We may have scanned it, but you are going to Megrez. Thank you. I will get another colonizer out to go from Mrs. in a bit. Okay, so why am I happy about Megrez? First off, it's a bit closer towards the centre of the galaxy, so you know it's a slightly better position overall for it. But that is a 5-planet system, mostly on the larger scale of things because there's 5 tiers of planet size. Large and huge are the top 2 tiers in terms of how much population they can have. Megrez is tiny, but that's okay. There are no known strategic resources, but there are a couple of local luxury deposits. That's neither here nor there, but they are natively industrial focused ones. There is even a somewhat decent food production one to help the system get started on its population growth. And 5 is the maximum number of planets you can get into a system. So this is, if this series goes forward and you guys want to see more of it, Megrez is going to be the cornerstone of my ship production industry, because this system it's not the most ideal setup. It's not super idealized for it, but it is very much up there. I mean, look at this. Per population put on Megrez 1, 16 industry. Ash is a milder version. It's only plus 14, but it doesn't generate as much unhappiness. This is minus 8 per pop, while Ash is minus 5. And Arid is not exactly the best. It's a minus 3, but it's kind of a hybrid one, industry and dust, but leaning on the industry side of it. That's a very mild one though. And then of course Ocean is a very much food specialized one, because if you look at the breakdown bottom left, 8 food, 6 science, 4 dust, 2 production. While the super specialist, the lava, 16 production and 2 dust. So yeah, no known anomalies because I've not scanned anything, but Megrez, the planet I'm going to colonize, has no anomalies known on it anyway, so that's actually okay as well. So I'm not making a huge risk colonizing that. That's good. Okay, right. Come on, Mach 3. You are now dragging out. Hi, how are you? It's like, yeah, welcome to the padded part of the video. You are listening and you have no choice in the matter. No. The last thing I was going to do is I'm going to show you why I configured my scout ships the way I did. So I record the ship here because I can spend dust and resources to upgrade the ship to a newer version of itself. So because I upgraded rather than creating a new ship class, I've created a new version of the revealer, so I can upgrade the previous revealer to that. Let's actually use the probe here before we do that to go pop, get that anomaly. And it's given us a unit of Ilio. The mathematical unlikelihood of life occurring spontaneously has been driven these robotic beings to believe in a divine and ruthless creator. +1 to inference production on hot worlds. So we got basically a set of religious robots, which have actually just been added straight into our population. So hooray, extra population, nice. Now I'm going to upgrade you. This is our vision now. That is our vision with the Hyperion probe sensors installed. Now you can see why I like to go for that one as a priority. It is very useful for a scout ship. Incredibly useful for a dedicated scout ship. Which is why I don't mind gimping this thing in terms of overall performance, because, well, hopefully it's not engaging stuff. You can choose to try and run from engagements, and it's going to do that because it's not got any guns or armor on it. But everywhere it goes, it's revealing everything nearby because of those probe systems in it. And this is my preferred scout. 3 Hyperion, or at least 2 Hyperion, and off they go. Now you, though, I'm going to tell you, I don't need to get to Mergers as a priority. You're going to go to Kiernos. Off you go. Oh look, it's already found something. And that's why. We have got a large lava, a large ash, and our third world is a small arid with multiple unknowns. Yeah, these orphaned nodes tend to have more curiosities in them than stuff on the actual travel lanes. This is why I was concerned about the pirates being close, because they do launch like raiding fleets and things around the place, but I can try to talk to them and get them to stop doing that for a time anyway, or tell them it's like, hey, this guy over there would be more lucrative, go bother them, stuff like that. So pirates are a bit of a nuisance overall, but we're not on max difficulty, so I can resist them if I start to build some military stuff, and I probably should, because AI empires tend to take a lack of military fleets as weakness and tend to start making threats, as they do. But yes, I'm going to end it there though. So, this is Mark 3. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show. And this little vaunt into one of my old favourites, a bit of Endless Space 2. We got through the first few turns. We got through the things starting. So things are on a roll, but let me know if you want to see some more of this in the future or have any thoughts on it. But until then, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps out me, helps out the channel, give me those virtual head pats I oh so crave. And I'll catch you all some other time. It's also a very peaceful game. I do like the calming music it has going on as well. So yeah, sorry. See you all later. Oh, I can bribe you guys again. Sorry, praise you. There we go. I forgot to scan an anomaly on my way past. You actually stop off in that system.